Okay, welcome to this year's Programming Exam Solution tutorials. We're going to be looking at Symbol Puzzle, which is this year's exam. And the purpose of this video is for me to quickly unwrap everything, make sure you know where everything is. So we are going to have a little look at the preliminary material and the code. So without further ado, let's do that. Just to be aware, this is not for third-party use, so this video is just for the students who've got them in college. Please don't share the link with anyone else. I actually prefer, if I can, just share my videos with anyone, but AQA quite rightly don't want their copyright material to be used for anything other than the intended use. So just so we're clear, you're going to have this skeleton code and some data files, and that is it for this year. It's relatively simple. You should have a copy of this preliminary material printed out, and you should be, very familiar with it. It's not a very long document. So, what is the purpose? It's a simple game. The idea is that you put some characters in a certain pattern, and that pattern forms a representation of that letter. So what we can see on the screen is a Q made up of letter Q's. Whoopie-doo. T's made up of a T, and X's made up of an X. What you have to do is try and fit as many of those Q's, T's and X's within this grid. Every time you place a Q, T or X, you get 10 points, and the idea is to get as many points as possible. That is the whole thing. There is, as we'll see in a second, a different mode to the game. And we'll do that when we have a look at the code. The little the little @sands are blockers, so you can't overwrite those. Right, to the code and files. I've got a Visual Studio solution set up here. I'll just pin this. The one I've got here happens to have a copy of the preliminary material shoved in just for ease, and actually an EAD as well. But what you should have is the code and 4 files, just so we can see what's in the files. Looks like gobbledygook. That's puzzle 2, puzzle 3, puzzle 4. So there is different setups there, but you can see the start of the file appears to be the same. That's for another video. Right, let's have a very quick look at the code. A couple of imports, fairly standard. The main program, just a simple menu and a couple of different versions of instantiating the puzzle class, and everything happens within there really. Just at the very bottom, the only thing that is actually run by default is this main, so let's hide that. We've only got 4 classes within here. We've got a parent and child situation. So it looks fairly obvious where there might be opportunity to create a new class in the actual exam. One thing I would note is here they've said what version they've worked on. I think I'm okay running it with anything greater than 3.7. When I went back to 3.6, it fell over. So there's obviously some syntax in here that is only valid in later versions of Python. Right, let's have a look at this puzzle class very quickly. Not that many methods in here. When I look at this, I've got a whole set of properties set up. Weirdly, within the constructor, I've got an if else, and that's to do with this strarg, or variable number of arguments. So I can instantiate this class with one or more arguments. And I guess there's a real chance that in the real exam they could set it up so that we have a different pattern for this. So one sum of the number or sum of the number. But that's if you're not familiar with this, you just W3 Schools or Geek for Geeks or Snakeify have all got tutorials on this. You might be familiar with Quargs. This is similar sort of thing. Right, we've got load, fairly simple. The attempt puzzle, which is basically the mechanics of it. Get cell, a getter for a particular element of the puzzle. I'm not going to go these in great details, but you can work out what check match for pattern is. It's to see if a pattern's been completed. The input. This is part of the actual drawing of the grid, and then we've got the rest of the display puzzle, and you can see it calls that previous one. What else might I note from this, from the initial unwrapping? Not a huge amount. There's various things broken with it, but we'll discover those later on. Pattern, as you might expect, is just a set of properties with some a getter and setter effectively. Each individual cell, not very many properties. Getter, setter is empty. A validator, which has got potential to be increased, and the blocked cell is really similar, but we've got a fixed symbol. And again, I suspect we'll be doing something with this. Right then. Your first job is to get really familiar with this code. You've got to be looking to, oh, there's a code down there. Yeah. If I just go like that, so I just hit return then, and it opens up the standard puzzle. So I can go one. If I go 5, let's go 5 5. Put next in. Whoops. 5. Oh, but I picked a blocked one. 5 4. Okay, you can see how it works. So here we've got one of the other modes, which is loading from a file. You see it's a smaller grid, and in this case it's almost finished. So all we need to do is go 1 4. Put the X in, and it completes it. Right, you need to be really familiar with those 4 puzzles. We're going to need to work out the file structure of the actual puzzle files. We're going to need to see, could there be another mode of game created. There's loads of validation that's not quite right. Loads of fun. So where do we start with this? In class you probably should have been shown this, just to get you going, help you analyse the pack, analyse the code. It's on Gonomy Online, its own section, so you need to get that done ASAP, over half term ideally. And also on the Teams site I've created a channel which, if you spot something as you're doing this that doesn't make sense, just post it there, and it could be that you don't understand it, but more likely it is that it doesn't make sense, because this code is quite simple but it's littered with holes, and it's really, really important that we all chip into that, because I could easily miss some. Right, there will be more of these exciting videos coming soon, but that is the start of our symbol puzzle adventure.